Hi guys, today we're going to be playing Trojan on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Good to see you all again, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another video in this series. I always like to do a trip down memory lane with all the games that I played as a kid, and this one is definitely no exception. This is Trojan. I won't go as far as to say this is an all-time classic or a famous game like some of the other games I've been doing, but it was a pretty well-known NES game back in the day. In actual fact, this is a port of an arcade game, which was published by Capcom, and one of their lesser-known ones. At the time that this came out, you had Ghosts and Goblins, Gunsmoke, Commando, 1942, and this kind of, I guess you could say, in comparison to the other ones, flew by the wayside a little bit, but it's still a very good game in its own right, and I'm going to show you guys the NES port of it today. You basically play this Trojan guy here. He looks suspiciously a lot like Leonardo from Thundercats. And you're in this post-apocalyptic world. As you can see, we've got decrepit buildings here, abandoned cars and stuff. And you've got to take out this evil syndicate. As you can see, they all look suspiciously like characters as well from Mad Max the Road Warrior. So you're going to take out all these evil cronies, various bosses, until eventually you get to the end of the game, traversing this universe and taking out Achilles, which I guess you could say is the overlord of the whole thing. And yeah, not a massively long game. Again, it is a port of an arcade classic. What will keep you busy longer is actually the deceptive difficulty. You can see here I'm going through this game relatively easy, but it is highly patternized. Once you learn all the enemy patterns and how to use your character in a productive way, it's like riding a bike. But until then, as I said, this game is deceptively difficult. Anyway, there's various enemies in this game, guys, and various bosses. We're about to come to our first one now. These guys are also very interesting in the red as well. They'll either shoot knives at you or these little pod things. And if you end up blocking it with a shield, you'll become a martial artist because you'll lose your gear and you'll have to go forward or downwards a few screens to get it back. But we can talk about that a bit later on if we need to. There we go, we got that boss. So you had like an iron claw and you just throw that in a pattern. Deceptively tricky. Like he can do like the long claw, short claw, and he can also change the directions as well. So you can be caught in a world of hurt if you're not careful in this game. One thing I've noticed is you don't get the brief invincibility like a lot of games give you if you ever take a hit in this game. Like if an enemy hits you, it can just keep barraging you in blows until you die. So you have to be careful and do your best to avoid enemy attacks at all costs. So as I said here, it's about avoiding all these patterns. Lots of different bosses you'll fight in this wasteland as well. I suppose I better mention the controls of the game as well. NES controls, as you guys know, have two buttons. So it's pretty basic. You've got an attack button with the B button, and then you use the shield with the A button, which you can block knives and other attacks and things like that. This is kind of one of those annoying games where the jump mechanic is with the up button. With that being said, I've told you guys to death how much I hate old school platforming games that has, I guess you could say, the jump button in the up mechanic. But this is one of the few games where it doesn't really feel like it hurts the experience, because I think this is more of an action game than a platformer, and I don't mind the up button being the jump mechanic so much. I'd still prefer to have a jump button, but considering you have to use a shield in this and stuff, I'll give the game a pass. So simple mechanics, you just move around the D-pad, also jump with the up button. You have the attack button, you have the shield button, and that's all there really is to Trojan. Easy to pick up, very hard to master. Now, what I like is you're traversing the universe as well. You've got all sorts of various levels going over different terrain, and there's even these vertical scrolling levels, which gives the game a nice touch. You know, you're not necessarily doing the same thing all the time. And again, very, very quick experience. I also like that the levels aren't too long, so you don't ever get bored doing the same thing. Also, the bosses usually require different patterns of attacks. This is like a hit and run boss because he's got an amazing reach on him, but we just took care of him, no problem. Chop liver that guy. There's all sorts of power-ups you can get in this game too. There's also an S symbol in various places like hidden sewers and stuff. Well, they're not really that hidden. They're out in plain view. But if you go into the underground areas and stuff, you can get things like an S symbol that will give your attacks and movements quicker speed. And then you've got the P symbols, which are most important, guys. The more P symbols you get, the stronger attacks you'll have. Most of the bosses would take 8 hits to kill, but if you get 2 or 3 P symbols, it goes from 8 to about 3. You'll have to let me know in the comments if you're experienced with Trojan, because I don't know how many P symbols can be found throughout the game. I've only ever found 2, but if there's any more, let me know. The more you have, basically, the easier the enemies are going to go down. You can see that was like the enemy Trojan. I'm a Trojan too, so it's almost kind of Star Warsy if you think about it. I'm like the Jedi and that guy's fighting the dark side. We're already halfway through the game now. One thing that I was a little bit disappointed with in Trojan actually is the music. Like, it is kind of timeless because I played this so much as a kid, but not timeless in the sense that nostalgia's a hell of a drug and that you're always going to remember it. So timeless is probably the wrong word. Probably, don't know what word I'm looking for, but I guess you could say it's distinct but not memorable, in the sense that you're not going to go humming it in the shower or anything like a lot of other tunes, say like in Kung Fu or Streets of Rage or something. I guess you could say it's memorable for the wrong reasons. That's probably what I'm trying to say. Might need to take some English lessons, everyone, to articulate these videos a little bit better. Do we have any English teachers in the house? You'll also have to let me know what your experiences are with playing Trojan growing up as well. For me, this would be a very Saturday morning game. When I was a kid, I'd always be very structured with my games. I'd always play certain games at certain times. Like, I'd wake up playing like a Kung Fu or a Castlevania. And this would always be a game that I'd love to play in the middle of my morning, say like at 9 AM. And the reason I'd like to play this in the middle of the morning, as I said, it's a short game. You can beat it within 13 to 15 minutes. And it was a nice little confidence boost between really big gaming sessions for me, this one in particular. Alright, continuing here, collect this other key. Believe it or not, guys, as I said, we only got 2 levels left after this. You can definitely tell Trojan here also takes a little bit of inspiration from the very popular and infamous Ghosts and Goblins game, especially with things like the overworld map and basically the level structure. You're just going across this big universe, and even though this is a quick game, it gives you the illusion of really feeling like you're on a journey. And hey, it might be a quick journey, but it's a journey nevertheless. Alright, we're gonna go in here and finally finish this level. Little goblin sucker here. Send him straight back to hell. I used to really struggle with those goblins throwing the fireballs. I think sometimes the best defense in this game is more offense. I've always done a lot better at this game when I've been more on the attack. If I hesitate and try to block too much and avoid attacks, that's when I usually end up dying in this. See, like guys like this, for example, you can't block all day long. Eventually you have to make your move and just take a chance. You remember, I don't know if you remember, but these little axe throwing sumbishes were actually the bosses in the first level, and now they're just like the mini level henchmen. Just goes to show how much the difficulty is rising the further we go along. And this game is deceptively difficult. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier in the video, but when I first started playing this game, guys, it was a long time before I could even pass the first level. This game's really about making do the best you can with every single enemy pattern. That's not just for the boss, but for the regular characters as well. And it's deceptively difficult. Even if I'm making it look easy now. I've been playing this for over 30 years. 30 years? Yeah, 33 years I think I've been playing this one. 1990 was my first time. I don't even remember how I got this game. I think it might have been a hand-me-down from a family member. Oh, jeez, I nearly took a... Oh, dude, that sucks. Oh, I was hoping for a no-death run. Oh, well, no death run today. No bragging rights today, everybody. I have to play this sumbish like a regular mortal. Just like all retro games, skill plays a 80% part of it, but you do have to get a little bit lucky with enemy patterns and projectile placement and stuff too, and yeah, we were just like the wiener in a hot dog bun right there. Great analogy. The only problem is as well though, guys, when you die, you lose all your power-ups. So you can see these last handful of bosses are actually going to take a lot more effort to beat. Might make it more exciting for you guys to watch though. You've probably also noticed by now that most levels have 2 parts to them. With the exception of the last level we did, every level actually has 2 parts to them. This is part 2 of the final level here. We got these little freaking Roman warrior lookalikes coming out of the walls very, very soon. Which I would argue are probably harder than the main boss once you have the hang of things. Hopefully we can get out of here. These missile guys are not too hard to keep an eye on, but when you got the other enemies attacking you at the same time, it's a pain in the neck. So I used to get stuck at this a lot growing up, guys. I'll jump out of the wall, and again, it's about being offensive mid-swing and hitting them as quick as you can. I should be okay here, especially with the turbo button. Hopefully, there we go. That's 1. They'll take 2 bits of health off you a hit as well, I think, so you've got to be really, really careful. And you don't want to be hit by the rocks as they're coming out of the wall either. There we go, we got the son of a gun. So here's the guy I was telling you about, guys. Achilles, the final boss. And if we had the power-ups, he would have only taken 3 hits, but now he's going to take 8 hits. And this is a very hit-and-run boss. You can see his range is massive. And if you're not careful, 1 hit from Achilles will take 4 bits of health off you. And like I said before, guys, there's no invincibility hitbox. So the moment you take a hit, he can just keep barraging you if you're not careful. But, hey, we only died once and we just beat Trojan, guys. Oop, there it is. There you go. We'll just have a quick look at this little thank you screen. We have finally defeated Achilles. The world will be in peace again. We praise your love and courage that has carried us through our desperate struggle. Yeah, 1 coin. Let's get it. Guys, thank you so much for watching Trojan today. We hope you enjoyed another trip down memory lane. If you have a suggestion for another review you'd like to see, please leave it in the comments below. And we'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.